I will be talking about conservation in Syria under adverse conditions. In fact, I was approached by Rob Sheldon for this talk with an effort just to present some kind of the work that has been done in Syria over the past years, despite the fact that Syria is under severe kind of abnormal circumstances not to be faced by any other country. So the board of the society has agreed that it's better for me just to present this presentation, having the knowledge, having the experience, and having the connection and the facility or internet connection to present that brilliantly and hopefully better in situation. I'm pleased to do that based on my experience and based on my previous role with Syrian Society previously from 2012 to 2017. So I was able to have some knowledge and have some experience to do this work. So a little of history about the society. It's established in Damascus in 2003 with the scope of biodiversity conservation in Syria as well, in the whole country. And looking at the vision and mission of the society, the society is aiming to work tirelessly to protect the wildlife, its natural ecosystem habitats and environment in a balanced and sustainable manner through gaining internal, regional and international support to respond to the need of humanity and wildlife and to support the livelihood of the local people in areas that are important to wildlife and conservation in particular. Over the past durations, SSCW has managed to do some remarkable work and some conservation in activities in the areas that showed some involvement for the society for activities for conservation of wildlife in general. And that has spanned for different areas and for different species. And it has some cooperation with national and regional stakeholders in the government and in other private sector as well, and managed to raise awareness at some targeted areas for the conservation of species, some specific species, including the Northern Bald Ibis, the Sociable Lapwing, and the white-headed dog, as well as other species such as the turtle dove and many other species to include as well. So it managed to do some kind of survey and participate in survey with the that's been led by the Commission of Badia in Syria with support from Ministry of Agriculture and with coordination by BirdLife International, RSPB, OSME and AIWA to do this work and this field survey on the ground over in different parts of the area where needed. And they managed to build a bird watching tower in Jabboul, which is the only Ramsar site in Syria, due to the fact that it have a renounced or very important reputation in the region for bird monitoring and bird watching in the area. It was a mecca for people coming to Syria to come and watch this unique habitat of wetland in Syria. However, after the crisis started almost 10 years ago, the situation started to dwindle, and the activities started just to be on low profile, moving to awareness activity more than conservation on site, just to make it feasible. And these conservation activities were not like an easy task to be done. So, but despite that, regardless, the society continued its work and its struggle to do some conservation work where possible, where needed, and with the support from the authorities, support from its partners and its supporters all over the globe, from its members and volunteers and its kind of activities. One of the activities that has been done for endangered species was the Syrian Serin. Syrian Serin is a vulnerable species according to the IUCN criteria, and it's like an endemic, regional endemic to the Middle East in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Palestine. So it has attracted some attention over the past decades in different countries, in Palestine and in Jordan in the 90s and the early of the millennia, and then with some conservation or some survey as well in Lebanon almost 10 years ago. So Syria there was some gap of knowledge just to complete the information about that species in its range. So the society has managed to do some kind of surveys with guidance and support from OSME and from other kind of members and from BirdLife International and its volunteers to do some survey for monitoring its habitat, its range in the western part of southern western part of the country in Zabadani and Bludan, and to do counting and assessing the abundance and the severity and the threat that the bird is facing in the area. That has done as well with some awareness and some kind of social media activities just to promote and advocate for its conservation and promote the conservation of the areas and protection, despite the fact that it is under some kind of instability in the area. This was followed clearly with some locals and with some kind of the authority with the support needed to do some, and this work is still ongoing. It hasn't finished, so it is hopefully by then we can put the brick for building a regional action plan for conserving this species, which is under threat, with when the means are available by the national parties and the regional parties just to do this activity. Furthermore, other activities that have been done all recently for conservation, was targeted toward the Egyptian vulture. It is an endangered species according to the IUCN, and with direct guidance by BirdLife International with support, SSCW has carried out some surveys and some monitoring for some targeted sites where the species use on its migration. The species, like many knows, it is endangered, and over the last 30-40 years, its population has declined to a large extent, and it's like a population that migrates through Syria. It's breed in the Balkan, in Greece, Bulgaria, and that area, and Albania, and then migrate through Turkey and the Middle East, Syria and Jordan, Lebanon and Palestine, to continue its migration to winter in the highland of Ethiopia and Central Africa. And so we are trying to help in monitoring the threat that the bird are facing on its flyway. And let's hope that these threats are highlighted and addressed just to prevent these threats from endangered in Syria. So one of the conservation activities that has been done as well, it's try to advocate, promote the all stakeholders that are can give some hand just to protect this species. This including different part of authorities, from electrocution, from collision with power line, from being poisoned by consuming waste and brace that has been treated by veterinary medical products, and poisoned by agricultural poisons, as well as hunting. Hunting is a serious threat in Syria and Lebanon, and it is indiscriminate to hunt different species. So we hope by raising the awareness to the different stakeholders just of the importance of these species as well, so to lessen the threat that it's faced. These were made during the event of World Migratory Bird Day and the International Furniture Awareness Days, and in targeted area, mainly in Damascus and in the coastal area. And all that has been done also with synergy or like cooperation and some help or like in line with the activity that has been done by the Egyptian Vulture project in the BirdLife. One of the activities that has been done as well for this region is World Migratory Bird Day in 2018 being celebrated in the coastal area through a hiking day that's been targeted for awareness activity for scouts and youth people in Lattakia about the conservation of migratory birds, in particular the Egyptian vulture. So that was very effective to raise awareness for almost like 75 youth and the scouts just to get them on board. They are the future for conservation activities in Syria. That has led us to mobilize some kind of effort from the volunteers, or from the supporters, or from the followers of the activity, just to become on board of our activity, just to be helpers, to be with us. So we, the team has managed to do kind of like bird watching event and bird watching and monitoring activities to train some like talented people just to get on board and help society to get some data, to get some information where needed, and feed into the database that SSCW is building to contribute for the conservation activities. That was mainly in the coastal area and in Jabboul, so in different and in targeted area with in this field. And it has remarkable recording of different activity and different results over the last 3-4 years. One of the last event that has been done was in October last year, 2020, on the eve of the Global Bird Watching Weekend. That was, Rob has spoke to me about this information and its opportunity just to raise awareness about sociable lapwing. So he, Rob, said, can SSCW do something? So I have contact with SSCW and they mobilized a team from Force to the Jabboul area where they can monitor some bird. It's a site that once has been visited by sociable lapwing, but it is mainly now to pass the message about sociable lapwing importance to monitor. And during that day, it is an activity with this guidance has spent one day in the field by 4 bird observers, and they managed to count more than 9,700 birds from different species, from almost 60 different species in single day. That's compared to like the different, like it is a high number, but almost like less than the number that's compared in 2009 in the same almost period. The number was almost like 15,000 bird individual has been counted in single months of October. But that's over the month of October, but that was over just 9,700 over one day in that area. That reflects the importance of the Jabboul area as an IBA, as a site that to be declared as of importance. So this has enabled us as well. It was just part of the migration monitoring scheme that SSCW is doing. So they have arranged some count and activities and day for monitoring, mainly for soaring birds during the migration seasons in spring and autumn, and over the migration flyway. So they especially record the movement of and the numbers of raptors and storks and cranes and other species of interest. That's in sites selected in anti-Lebanon, to the west of Damascus, on the coastal mountains, and as well as in the Ghab Valley, where it's the migration phenomena, it can be seen as an outstanding option, as all of, if you can imagine how it is to be seen in the area. But during this migration, during this monitoring, during this, the team has noticed that still there is some hunting activities is going on, and hunting is still an issue since the 90s. Up and down, sometimes with the trend going up and sometimes going down, depend on the situation. But overall, it is an issue. It is a serious threat. So SSCW has continued its push and efforts just to try to lobby for update the hunting law. The hunting law is in Syria is, I think it's outdated. It has been issued in 1970s and hasn't been updated since then. So almost like 50 years without any update. That's a very long time. So SSCW has been trying for a couple of years now to push for that change and for that update, and try to draft the new law several times with the help and support by all partners and members. And they benefited from the position that they have like a seat on the Higher Council for Hunting in Syria, and they can voice their message to get that need to change the hunting law. They managed as well in almost 2015, I think, to establish the first responsible hunting club with a promotion for their member of the club to be responsible and pledge to refrain from hunting protected species and refrain from killing indiscriminately the kind, and train other people and lobby other people, other shooters to be hunter, to be a responsible hunter in the area. So let's hope that this will be all right in the future. So the experience that the SSCW has gained in the past has aimed to reach this aim with consultation with BirdLife International where needed, to have the law up to the standard of that being accepted in the neighboring country and in the globe as well, to protect the bird. And we hope that this draft law is now in its final stages for approval by the relevant authority to be issued in due time very soon. Let's hope. Another aspect, let's say, there is, as SSCW is the only non-governmental member or observer member to the agreement of cetacean conservation of mammals in the Black Sea and Mediterranean, ACCOBAMS. So there was an initiative from ACCOBAMS to do a marine surveys for the coastal area in the Mediterranean over 2018 and 2019. But the problem, there was some kind of delays in and some kind of bureaucratic and some kind of hinder due political sanction. So that delayed the survey to take place in Syria 2019. And the society has, with help with the Ministry of Environment and with the University of in Lattakia, to do the and some with a team of experts from different criteria to do a survey for the cetacean in the Syrian coast. And they delivered a report on the finding of this mission for the ACCOBAMS survey initiative at the 7th meeting of parties of ACCOBAMS in November 2019. And that's now on continuation. Now this has been reviewed and it is under current review now to have a forum for carry on this initiative in the near future in the region. And let's hope that SSCW will continue the work where possible for this subject, for this important issue of conservation. So they have registered different observation of birds, cetacean, fish, whatever, during that survey, and the survey results were very, very impressive. Moving on on that aspect, the IBA or important bird areas being designated in Syria in 1994 for the Middle East as a whole, as a list has been done by Evans by BirdLife International. But since then, the IBA's information and data were hasn't got any kind of update or any kind of update information. So the society has taken on its role in 2014 to do kind of initial survey, and from that initial survey and assessment, it's been envisioned that there is a need to do that survey or update for this information. And with the right support and the right guidance by BirdLife International, according to the guidelines that have been adopted by BirdLife International, society has managed to convene 3 workshops and meeting at the coastal area, in the central area and eastern part, and in southern part of the country to do some consultation meeting with experts where possible, with and do some field work as well where needed and where possible as well, to do the updated information needed for the IBAs in general. It has covered most of the IBAs, but there are some IBAs still out of reach due to the current situation, and let's hope that will be continued over the coming period. But nevertheless, this was the outdated information about IBA in the Middle East. Syria was one of the very few countries in the Middle East that managed to do this needed update compared to the other neighbors. So none of our neighbors has managed to do this update. So this has been done despite the fact that it is situation is difficult, but SSCW has managed with its relation with its role with the ministries to convene this workshop and to get some data and information to update. And this information has been updated into the BirdLife International data zone. Following that meeting, SSCW held a meeting as a central workshop in Aleppo to advocate for official protection of Jabboul area according to UNESCO standards. So that was held in August 2019, and with the meeting with the stakeholders and discussion with all members and all parties and all from the ministries, from the locals, from the other private sector and businesses, they managed to do the some kind of need to support that area and support it after the devastating situation that has happened due to the crisis. And so with the aim to support the livelihood of the local in the area. As a result of that meeting, there was an establishment of a steering committee for the Jabboul area, and SSCW sit on that committee as well to push for the right protection of the area. Based on that, sorry, just getting one. Based on that, the society has managed to prepare an initial study and document for proposing a Jabboul site as a man-and-biosphere area, and with allocating the site according to different zoning criteria for allowable permission, allowable usage, and not allowable users to the area. And this is like the initial study, and it is now under review to reach the main outcome of the protection according to biosphere standards. Moving on, as the outcome of that meeting held in Aleppo in 2019, the society has managed to secure a fund from UNDP in Damascus to execute this project. The project aimed to support a sustainable development of livelihood of local and the farmers in the Jabboul area, which is an IBA. Hopefully that will revive the livelihood of people and the livelihood of attract people to bird watching, attract people to restore the habitat and the ecosystem in the area. And that project has different like topics. It supports the agriculture topic in promoting planting one crop time plants in the area, which is a new and promising crop if being managed properly, and promote the apiculture for some certain individual from the locality, and promote as well the restoration of the mud house. It's a traditional mud house that is widespread in the area, and that has been affected largely by the destruction and the crisis. So SSCW has managed just to support the livelihood of those local people by restoring their houses in a eco-friendly environment and eco-friendly format, just to make that restoration sustainable and using the local materials, and held some training and involved a lot of people from the locals, different gender, different youth age group, and established its like base at the area just to give the help and advice for the locals where needed during that period. So that was a very positive outcome of positive, and it managed just to support more than 80 families in that location with their livelihood, and give them some income of additional support of income to live, and attract people to return, or those people from Exodus to return to these areas and revive the area of Jabboul. However, one of the bad points that I have just mentioned in the last two slides is fires in the woodland happen every year in Syria. It is a normal situation, but 2020 was abnormal because the extent of fire was very, very big, and more than 20 fires happened in different parts from the north to the south of the coastal mountain, with areas that has been for some site of forest that I have been knowing that site for 40 years, but as to my knowledge, it hasn't been kind of liable to fire over the past year at the top of the mountain in Slonfe and Jabal al-Shuh, which is a humid forest, and they were liable to fire. That means, okay, there is some national causes, there is some climate change, there is dry season, but there are some other questionable causes that cause this fire. But nevertheless, that fires were devastating, and it's turned these green forest, climatic some forest, into like barren brown and black spots without any kind of sort of life. So it was a feel of sorrow, a feel of sadness that conveyed us. So SSCW tried to help in this situation by kind of aiding the relevant authority just to adopt the right way in the restoration of the habitat. Traditionally in Syria, when the site has been liable to fire, the ministry or the department will restore the habitat by planting a new plant by pine trees or cypress tree, which is the easiest way to produce in the nurseries. But whether it is a native species or not native species to their location, so that will affect the ecosystem and affect the balance of the ecosystem itself. So the society has tried to put in to respond this widespread fire, to have kind of prepared a framework of and a paper to rehabilitate the forest that suffered from the fire. They prepared that document, almost like 27 pages of thorough discussion and thorough analysis of the areas that has been suffered from these fire, and using the modern technology and using the experience of other countries that suffered from fires, and propose that to the relevant authorities, and it has been almost accepted in some aspects, some part of like 7 topic and 7 projects being proposed. Some of them have been accepted, and let's hope it will be restored by the time. But this is not an easy process, and this will take a long time over the time. So this is the situation that work has been done in Syria by over the past day, despite these bad and devastating situation and the unstable crisis that Syria is facing. But at the end, SSCW would like to offer its thanks for the support and guidance it received from all its supporting bodies, and guidance from the ministries, from the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Local Administration and Environment, Ministry of Social Affairs, and all other stakeholders in the country, and other organizations within the country, and other NGOs, and whether other NGOs from outside, such as UNDP, BirdLife International, OSME, IUCN, and other organizations that helped and offered the right support and the right help at own capacity to help SSCW deliver its activity. Thank you very much indeed. I hope that I didn't exceed my time.
Nabegh, I think if you did exceed your time, nobody would mind at all. Thank you very much. That is a really impressive overview of what you and SSCW and all of your sort of conservation colleagues have achieved over the last 10 years, despite the you've called it adverse conditions. I mean, I think that's been very, very diplomatic. So thank you very much. Fantastic talk. Although we are kind of about a minute over time, I am very keen to still have a couple of questions. Nick, I haven't looked at the chat box. Are there a couple of questions in the chat box? If not, I've got one or two I can ask.
There are a number of very nice comments, and Jim Muir has asked some questions. So he asks, he says, thank you, Nabegh. You said that hunting is indiscriminate, but also a new law is on the way. In the government-held areas, do the people generally obey the existing laws, and will they obey the new one? And have you any idea of the situation in other areas, especially the northwest and northeast? Are you in touch with any wildlife activists in those areas?
Shall I reply now? Yeah, all right. So regarding the hunting, it's indiscriminate. It is indiscriminate, but with the support we have, like seen during my experience in 2013 and 14, have some consultation with hunters, with some groups. They were very positive. I would say there are some certain. It wouldn't be like everybody will be obeying the law, but there are some certain very positive toward obeying the law. They are eager to have the law updated and eager to have the hunting being done under the law where it's needed, and be refrained from hunting where it is not permissible. There are some good group of hunters that are obeying this one. Nevertheless, there are some people which we met. They said, if my father have feathers, they will shoot him. So there is no hope of this, but that will be long term to try to convince these people to refrain and hunt reasonably and responsibly in this area. Regarding the question that we have some contacts in the northeast and northwest, in the northwest, where this under out of control, it is not an easy way, and we don't have any contact in that area. But in the northeast corner, we still have some members and still have some kind of cooperation where needed, but minimal, not to the effect that SSCW can be able to deliver. But on other soil of the country, from the north to south, east, west, still there is good point of opportunity to deliver and to act reasonably. Let's hope the hunting law be issued very soon, and then with the authority, with the enforcement. Now the law is, if you being caught, and if that will be enforced, if you being caught, the penalties are like minimal. If you are being caught hunting, the penalty is pay equivalent to 1 cent, not $1 even. So it is absolutely nothing. So nobody will care if the law is being enforced or not. So unless the law is being like changed and have like more stricter penalties, then the enforcement will be done, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Nabegh.